from my mum's. Actually, it was my father. My father, he told me, he said, never neglect an opportunity. He was talking about all sorts of things, I think. Never neglect an opportunity. All right, okay, I think we're there. I think we're there. I think we're live.
Okay.
My government's priority is to secure the best possible deal as the country leaves the European Union.
Yeah, get your skates on. First race is 2:30.
Ollie? Still there?
Good afternoon, people. And you, Beverley. I know you can't hear what's going on in the background. Just bear with us, darling. Welcome to the Daily Brexit. Holding democracy to account, fighting for self-determination, and exposing plutocracy. Yeah. I'm Olly Connolly. Welcome to the show. And today's show, the Queen's speech. Yeah. Picking over the policy points of Her Majesty's speech, we've got professional carer and UKIP grassrooter, Beverley Taylor-king, who cannot hear the music behind this introduction, yeah. We're going to be looking at what was in, what was left out, rattle your jewellery, shake it all about. Right, that's enough of that, blimey. Oh, dear. Beverley, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you, Ollie?
Yeah, I'm good, I'm good. Flying by the seat of my pants, dear lady. I'll tell you, I actually, let me just make sure, yeah, you will not be echoing. Okay, that was my number one concern. Starting this show was that I wasn't going to waste the first 15 minutes of my guest's time by them not being properly audible and frustrating the audience as well. I apologize for that last week. Technical teething problems, not entirely straightforward. This Facebook Live thing, actually interviewing folks and mixing in sound bites and stuff like that, which, hey, you got to do. So anyway, yeah, Beverley, I think we're there. I'm going to check the page just to see if we're getting any comments, any folks saying, "Oh, look, for crying out loud, it's not working." Yeah. How are you, Beverley? Oh no, Beverley. Yeah. Oh, you can hear me.
Yes, I can. You went off for a minute.
Oh, did I? Ah, yeah, that. Okay, I need more upload. I need more. Folks, if you like this show, no, I'm not going to ask you to donate, not yet. I want to get the technical right. But I will upgrade the upload speed and stuff like that because we need it. We need it, you know. Yeah, how are you, Beverley? How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. No problem.
You're based in Manchester, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right, okay. We're going to be talking about the Queen's speech. Oh, you know what? I forgot the headlines, didn't I? I suppose. All right, okay. Oh, yeah, a little bit chaotic. Some top stories today. Theresa May's in Brussels to discuss the post-Brexit rights of EU citizens in Britain. And one would hope the rights of British citizens in the EU. Philip Hammond's hinting that we need a long-term Brexit transitional arrangement. I think we all know what that means. And Bojo says he won't run for Tory leader till 2019. Oh, well, that's nice of him. And meanwhile, Prince Harry says none of his family wants the crown. Now, I suspect that old Charlie disagrees with that, but frankly, I wonder when this Queen pops off, if the British public won't share Harry's most modern sentiment. I seriously do wonder how many now are monarchists and how many in the UK are Elizabethans. And we're gonna find out when old Charlie takes the reins, I guess, or tries to.
God forbid that can happen.
Stateside, Democratic chaos continues as they lose their hotly contested battle for Georgia, shoring up Trump's position and making Nancy Pelosi's position look increasingly frail. And maybe one day, a bit like in the UK, the US will realize that a viable opposition isn't necessarily such a bad thing. Beverley, what do you reckon to that lot? What do you reckon to what's going on?
Okay. Well, she's in Brussels. I heard today that she's only going to get about half an hour. They're going to leave her agenda, or the Brexit agenda, till the very last minute. They're going to discuss other things first.
Mm-hmm.
She'll get half an hour, and then she'll be asked to leave while all the others discuss it. But it is going to be the last thing on the agenda, apparently.
They get gross 20 billion odd, net 12 odd per year from us. And the most important thing politically in my entire life, and they're going to give us 30 minutes.
Yeah. We're going to discuss all the other things first. That's what they said today.
Okay.
So,
does
in other
she
words,
get to talk
they are treating her with contempt, aren't they? Which is another good reason for us to leave, isn't it?
It is contemptuous. It is. This is what they did with Cameron. They didn't take those talks seriously.
That's right.
And then guess what happened at the referendum? And
They voted out,
this, to me, just confirms the arrogance of this non-elected body of technocratic twats.
Yes, that's what they are. That's what they are. Yes. The sooner we leave, the better.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. What did you think of the Queen's hat yesterday? I have to ask you, as a lady, maybe this is sexist of me. Hey, tell me if it is. What did you think of her hat? It was kind of an unusual garb that she was wearing.
Yeah, apparently there was a caller on Nigel Farage's show that said he thought she was supporting the EU because it was blue, wasn't it? But it had got some gold, like, adornment on it, so that he was saying it was like gold stars, like for the EU. But Nigel says, no, I don't think so, not at all. She was just going to the races afterwards, and that's it, isn't it? Really. She was just dressed for later, I think.
It is kind of curious. Folks, if anybody's got any comments to make on anything that we bring up today, please just, drop it in the comment under the Daily Brexit is live now thing, and we can, but this is for everybody who is concerned about Brexit, actually one way or the other, because this is an open discussion. It's not affiliated to anything bar democracy. It is therefore interested in hearing what people have to say, and if you've got any views on anything that we say, if there's anything that either of us say that you think is wrong, please tell us, and I'd be grateful if I need correcting to be corrected for a start. And hey, I don't know. Yeah. And also on the technical side, because this is a new kind of a show, if you see any problems technically, you want to give any feedback, maybe, I don't know, whatever, just by all means, chip in and be very, very interested to hear what you have to say. It was a very Brexit-oriented Queen's speech, Beverley, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Definitely.
Unlike the manifesto.
Yes, the manifesto was certainly toned down, wasn't it? The things that she spoke about were getting the best deal from the EU for this country. Yeah, and also regarding the Brexit, it was to do with immigration, fisheries and agriculture, the nuclear things, forging new trade relationships with the world, which is what we need to do.
Yes. I imagine a lot of people would have pricked up their ears when they heard about the new policies, particularly for agriculture and fisheries, because
That's right.
we've heard a lot about immigration. We have
That's
heard
right.
very little about those two and other areas such as steel, for example.
Mm.
I imagine
Yeah.
on the Clyde, they're very keen to know in
What's
Wales,
happening there?
for example, steel plants there. We do, it is good to see at last we're going to be debating what we're going to do off the back of coming off the Common Agricultural Policy, huh?
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've got members of my family that were fishermen from Grimsby. And I don't know whether people know this, but the fishermen in the UK were essentially bribed by the EU
That's
when
right.
we gave away our waters. What do you know about this, Beverley?
I don't know very much about it, to be fair. But I do know that there are an awful lot of them that was one of the main reasons in those areas that they did vote to leave the EU, because they wanted their fishing rights back. So I can completely understand that. At the end of the day, we're coming out of the EU. We want our waters back, don't we? It shouldn't belong to them anymore, should it?
No. I don't think it ever should have. It's not a question so much of even necessarily who owns the waters, but it's the destruction of culture again, isn't it? It is who owns the waters too, because frankly, fishing is important, you know? I mean, Britain is an island, is part of our identity, and our waters are part of our identity.
That's correct.
But, I mean, for example, the fishermen, they were paid. First of all, they were told, you know, you can't fish in your own British coastal waters anymore. We're going to have Spanish fishermen and Portuguese fishermen going up there to do that.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Which is kind of a bit of a way away.
Yeah.
And so I don't really understand the logic of that, except to create absolute upheaval and try and homogenize Europe in an illogical way. But off the back of that, the fishermen were told, your boats, you don't need them anymore. We're going to give you, I don't know how much money it was, but we're going to give you we're going to pay you to beach your boats and burn them. And these fishing boats were bequeathed these fishermen by their fathers and their grandparents.
Yeah, that's right.
This is not just about money. I've been trying to explain this to a few folks who, funnily enough, live in London, who need to get outside of the M25 to taste the flavour of what the country has to offer.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were like, you know, oh, this is awful. You know what? I'll tell you what's awful. You come with me to a place like Great Yarmouth or Grimsby, anywhere around the coast, and you will have a chat in a pub with some fishermen, and I can almost guarantee you that if we had a couple of pints, we'd all be crying, because it's so sad what's happened.
Happened to them. Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't have happened, should it?
Entire families and communities decimated.
That's right.
And it's not just in the UK that's happened, though, Beverley. In fairness, that's been going on all over the place. It's been happening in Spain, for example, and all over, everywhere. It's been going on, and you know, with people being told, "Oh, I know that you've been doing that for however many hundreds of years, but actually, we're not going to let you do that anymore. We're going to take that industry and we're going to shunt it over there, and you can do this instead." And that's your allocated, your designation.
That's right.
It kind of sounds a bit communist.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what Mr. Corbyn wants, isn't it? Communism, which does not work. As we know.
You think he wants communism?
No. Of course he does. That's his agenda, isn't it? And communism doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, I think it was John Paul Getty said, if you got all the money in all the world and you distributed it equally to every single person, within 24 hours there would be a change. And within 1 week and no more than 1 month, the money would be more or less back to where it started from, because that is human nature.
I have heard that quote. That was John Paul Getty, was it? Yeah. It does make sense, unless communism is enforced. But of course, as we know, the problem with communism is that you just have these elite bureaucrats at the top.
That's right.
That are still very wealthy.
Well, again, it's like the Cordonov-Kaligi plan. It's all to do with that intent. If you read about that, that is.
Tell me about that. The Coudenhove, yes.
Kaligi plan. Yeah.
Tell me about that again. I've heard a bit about this, but.
Yeah, well, it was a family, wasn't it? And I think they were in the 19th century, but it was actually about 1925 when it all came to light. But it's what all of Europe definitely want, and without sounding like going to sound horrible, their plan is that we should all interbreed, and hopefully we would be a nation that wouldn't be particularly intellectual, but there would be, like you said, the elite at the top. They'd be the intellectuals and they'd be running everything, and we'd be like robots, just doing menial jobs, and that, is what they want.
Yeah, that's right. This is the demographic engineering that Chris and I were having a bit of a chat about on Tuesday, and that absolutely, whether or not it's as a result of that plan, I don't know, but this is happening. You set up the wars, you bomb these poor people out of their homes,
that's right,
and their cultures, and then they got somewhere, they need to go somewhere else. And wherever they're going, it causes problems for the locals there as well. Right. And so everybody is being played like an orchestra.
That's right. Everybody's being affected, and it shouldn't be.
I think that's what this debate, the migration debate, Beverley, sorely lacks in the mainstream media. And it's very telling to me, the lack of intellectual wit in this debate that is always about, white versus black and, racism and xenophobia, as opposed to, what? These people, these plutocrats are war profiteering the military-industrial complex that we were warned about by Eisenhower, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
And, they're making money, they're getting funded by the banks, they're all owned by the same people, and they own the media, which is parroting this message that, there's nothing wrong with the war, we're doing good things in Syria, we tried to help in Iraq. I mean, Tony Blair is still parroting that line, despite the fact that he's so clearly a war criminal who should be on trial at The Hague.
Yes.
It's disgusting. And instead of being frank about that and seeing the rounded debate, us regular folks, whether we're Muslim, British Muslim, traditional indigenous Brits, whatever, we're being played like an orchestra. People so need to see that. People so need to see that. It's
say that Mr. Blair can't be tried, because if he was, there'd be so many people then that would be making claims, and apparently it would just escalate and escalate and escalate. So they say that's the reason that he is not being tried, because it would cause so many other problems too.
Yeah, it would. It would bring the whole thing down.
Yes.
It would bring down the whole pyramid structure. The public across the planet would see how much they've been deceived. And we would be running out of lampposts very, very quickly.
Yes, exactly.
I look forward to that. I have to say, I wonder if I'm a bit. Sometimes I think, Beverley,
Yeah.
and I'm calling on your female side here, because obviously you've got one of those. I've got one too, by the way, but yours is obviously a bit bigger than mine. I wonder sometimes if sometimes I wonder if I'm feeling a bit aggressive. Where, you know, when I see Tony Blair on the telly and I start sticking my fingers up and getting a bit energetic and just wishing
I just
him.
turn him off. I don't listen to it. I just turn it off.
That's what my wife does, actually. She's kind of, you know what, just take a chill pill. It's not worth, you know, having a Barney about. But then again, also I see it the other way. I look at it is, well, you've got to have a bit of a Barney, because otherwise nothing gets done. I mean, that's the reason I put this show on, to have a bit of a Barney, really, to try and get some views and see. Hopefully I'm wrong. Oh, I wish I was wrong.
Opinions. But no, you're not wrong. At the end of the day, the world has just gone too much the other way. I mean, I firmly believe that there's been a moral decline since the late 1960s, and it's not going any better, it's going worse. Our children are being indoctrinated by left-wing teachers. I mean, my own personal experience, I had the most horrendous row with a headmaster in 1997 for refusing to allow my child to be taught what I didn't wish him to be taught. And he said to me, "Mrs. Taylor, do you not realise we are a multicultural society?" I said, "It's not about that." I said, "At the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, this is Great Britain, and I want my child to know about our history, our, nation." So, and it's still going on. It's not going any better. It's gone worse. I mean, even now, I've got a granddaughter. If I ever found out that she had been attending a class that I didn't think she should be attending, I'd be straight in her school and saying, "You're not doing it. Not a chance. Out." And we've had mothers ring us up and say, "What do we do? What do we do? You know, our children are having to do this, having to do that, and we don't want it." You know, they want to take their children to school because they don't want them to learn about things that they see is being indoctrinated into them. They want the children to learn about their own country, about their own history, and that's what it should be.
That's right. And not just us, but whatever culture. I mean, I think this is one of the things that, you know, the fake stream media, they're always saying, you know, how racist, whatever, but xenophobic. That's absolutely nonsense. I love culture. Full stop.
Exactly.
It's just that as well as having mutual respect, I have self-respect too. Yeah.
As well. Exactly.
Guess what? I've got roots too. I don't just respect other people's cultures. I respect mine too.
Exactly. And it's like ours has got to be shoved under the carpet and everybody else is catered to. Well, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We are Great Britain, and you know, if you come to our country, then you know you should want to embrace what we offer. Not be saying, "No, we're not doing that. We want this, that, and the other." No, I'm sorry, no.
What did you think of the of the Queen's speech in terms of what she did or didn't say about terrorism and anti-terrorism measures, for example?
She's obviously been told to. Well, the speech was written for her by the government, wasn't it? She just has to read it, doesn't she? But no, she didn't go far enough, did she, to say what was going to occur? She said that the police would be more, you know, money for the security services, but they need, I don't know, they need to. It's not just the security services. In my mind, it's like the guy that was murdered, the policeman that was murdered. I mean, I'm not saying that every policeman should have a gun, but they should have a taser. Well, some of them don't even have that.
You're talking about the Westminster attack?
Yeah, when the
Westminster Bridge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if he'd had a taser, he may have been alive today. We don't know, but he may have been. But as well, with the way things are going now, I think we are going to get to the stage where I think the army should be brought in, because they're trained for this, aren't they? Our police are not trained, not all of them. We've got specialised police, which is good, but there aren't enough of them either.
It's kind of... I hear what you say. I have to say that frightens me as well. I remember about 20 years ago when we started seeing police at the airports with handguns, and then within a few years it was machine guns. I don't know, maybe it was longer than 20 years. It seems 20 years ago. And I found that quite frightening. I mean, I'm used to it now. I guess I'm sort of acclimatized to it, but in a way that doesn't make it right. I actually agree with you. I think we do need to see more armed police on the streets. And I think we need to trust our police. And personally, I think the British police, by and large, are pretty cool. I don't agree with all the police tactics that are used. I don't like seeing demonstrations being kettled, for example. And you're going to get rotten apples across the board, whatever profession. But by and large, I do have a lot of respect for the police, and never more so have they had a more difficult
time.
Yeah. And they have to be able to protect themselves. We saw a policeman being stabbed again yesterday by some fanatic in the United States.
That's right. Yeah.
We saw a policeman, I think, it was Brussels, wasn't it, this week?
That's right. Yes.
There was a policeman that was stabbed there.
Yeah.
There was an off-duty policeman that was stabbed in Borough Market. And well, yeah. But I mean, how far do we want to go with this? Do we want to see? Do we want to see armed? Do we want to see the army on the streets, Beverley?
Yeah, but
do we need to?
Well, they know, don't they, for definite, that there are at least 23,000 that are these extreme Islamists. Now, if they know about them, why do they not round them up and deport them? We're not saying that everyone is against us. We're saying there are certain few that are radicalised that should not be here. It's as simple as that. And to me, if there's that many of them, then the army do need to round them up, because the police, they're only trained to a certain degree, aren't they? So yes. I don't think they have the experience or the training to be able to deal with these people.
I do find it incredible. I know the reason is political correctness, but I find it incredible that there is a statistic like that. I mean, there was a statistic saying they reckon there's 3,000 extremists, and then there's 23,000 in the support network.
Exactly.
And we tolerate that. I mean,
we shouldn't.
Why do we tolerate that? What? It is political correctness, isn't it? Is political correctness gone mad? That's the only reason, no?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the government should be protecting their own people.
The first duty of government.
Know about these. That's right. And if they know about these people, then they should take steps.
Good Muslim people, I imagine, agree with that entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and Sikhs, everybody. I imagine that any decent person is going to agree that nutcases need to be disabled somehow. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, when I used to have my own business, I used to run a coach business, and I used to take special needs children to and from school. And when 9/11 happened, a lot of the children I took were from Muslim background.
Yeah.
And the parents actually came out. I was driving, obviously. And they came out and they said, Beverley, we're so sorry. This is not us. And I said, look, we know it's not you. But there are these people that are extreme. And as far as I'm concerned, if the government knows about them, they should not be living amongst us. They should not be in our country. These attacks wouldn't be happening, would they?
No, that's right. No, I totally agree with you. It's It's incredible. It's absolutely unbelievable. And yet the same story is parroted by the media. Okay, all right. So she's not really addressed the threat of terrorism and extremism in that speech. What concerns me is that she has addressed hate crime and the internet and well, I mean, what does that actually mean? How do you define hate crime? I mean, is what we're doing now, are we committing a hate crime? But because we're discussing...
Maybe, was it? Yeah. Because the hate crime is always against us, isn't it? It's like Mr. Sadiq Khan, when these attacks occurred against us, he said, oh, it's all part and parcel of living in the city. But now that someone has retaliated and a Muslim gentleman's been killed, which I don't condone anything like that, but it's different. He's not saying that now, is he?
Well, actually, I put a post up on my Facebook last night addressing precisely this matter, and surprise, surprise, nobody liked it and nobody shared it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it is, people are very, very scared. Basically, I'll tell you, let me see if I can find this. It basically is along the lines of, it was chastising the mayor for what he had said about, we can now expect terrorism to be part and parcel, and we don't have to worry about it. It's one of those things.
That's right.
It's just an absolute joke, and I can't even find that now. But yeah, basically, it's just it is a joke. Khan, I really am trying to grapple with his affiliations. I don't know what they are. I would like to think that he is not an apologist for extremism. I would like to think that, and I will give him the benefit of the doubt over that for now, because I know nothing to the contrary, and I find it incredible that anybody remotely could be that way, bar a very, very, very tiny percentage of people. However, I'm sure, I absolutely believe that he is just another globalist.
That's right.
Who will do anything within his power to promote the globalist agenda.
That's right.
And he doesn't care whether you're white, black, Christian, Muslim. He doesn't care. He's interested, like Tony Blair, like the David Camerons of this world, frankly, in just sorting out that bit of pension at the end of the day. Maybe you'll end up with a nice cozy job with the EU and do a Kinnock and become a millionaire, as did Glenys, and she wasn't even a politician in the UK.
Exactly.
And
they've all done very nicely, thank you, after the EU.
Yeah, and now we've got Stephen Kinnock in the next, there's talk about Blair's son doing a bloody Clinton, taking over the reins of plutocracy. It makes my blood boil. But Khan, I think that's the deal with him. I think that he basically is an apologist for globalism, not terrorism, for globalism. And that terrorism is something that statistically is only going to affect a very, very small number of people, and it actually is no real big deal for him standing atop his ivory tower. And I think that's the case with the vast majority of these people in power.
Well, it's like there was a march a couple of weeks ago, and that was against all the hate crimes that are occurring, and there was 5,000 people in Manchester that walked in silence. There were mothers, grandmothers, children, and Andy Burnham, the mayor of Manchester,
yes,
he spoke about how it was, an act of, you shouldn't have done that, we're being racist, etc. It wasn't anything about racism. And there were people at that march that went up to a small minority that were there to cause trouble and said to them, we're not here for this. We're here against the extremism, and we are walking in silence. There are mothers, grandmothers, children. But he, now, and the BBC have both had to apologise because they got it wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
They apologised. I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes.
That is very interesting. I didn't know that. That's fascinating. But this is what they do, isn't it? It's a bit like the Sun prints some semi-libelous comment, and then 6 months later on the front page, and then 6 months later they apologise on page 23.
Yeah, that's it, in a small box. Yeah.
In a tiny box underneath the horoscopes.
Yeah, that's it.
It is, and that's the way it works. Because that march, the Peace March in Manchester.
That's right. Yeah,
I didn't know the deal with it, to be honest with you. I didn't really cover that. But I did see that the coverage was Tommy Robinson,
everybody
EDL.
said, it's an EDL march. It was nothing to do with EDL. He was there, yes, but it was nothing to do with EDL. It was a peaceful march. Mothers, daughters, grandchildren, young people, decent people.
Yeah.
Just walking in silence against, extremism.
Were there people from other faiths?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Any faith. There was no race agenda at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to hear, because one thing...
And there was 5,000 of them, but there was 150 there that were specifically there to cause trouble as well. Mm.
I'm just getting a comment come in from a guy I know, Peter. I won't say his surname because he might not want to be identified.
Yeah. Okay.
When he's commenting on the Queen's speech, and he says, when May has gone, hopefully we will get a leader who can the full picture, who can present, I guess, the full picture, and we'll have another referendum to make sure that the majority really wants to jump out of the plane without a parachute. He is a Remainer. Peter, that is utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. We've had a referendum.
That's right. There isn't going to be another one.
We've had the referendum. Get over it. Tim Farron. Sorry, I always confuse the defence minister with the Christian on high. Tim Farron campaigned on a second referendum. If people had wanted a second referendum, they could have voted for him. He got half as many votes as UKIP.
That's right. Exactly.
The Lib Dems got half as many votes as UKIP. The only reason that they got seats is because parliamentary democracy is not very democratic, and we have no proportional representation.
Yes. Yeah, and people don't understand that. I don't think, do they?
I don't think people do. I think that needs to be explained. I'm not a UKIP supporter. I've never voted for UKIP, but the fact is that the UKIP is way more popular. And guess what? The two main parties that got, I don't know, 80% of the vote between them or something like that, the Tories and the Labour Party, were both campaigning on Brexit.
Brexit, that's right.
So, Peter...
So 80% of people want Brexit. The 52 that voted, there's another 20% there that were for Remain that are saying just get on with it.
You're right.
So at the end of the day, we need to just get on with it.
YouGov came out with a poll before this election, but way after the referendum. About 3 months ago, I suppose, and the poll was, do you still want another referendum? Do you still want to leave the EU, or do you prefer not to? Only 22%, according to that poll, are still ardent Remainers. All the rest are either original Brexiteers, or else they're people who agree with the democratic decision of our country.
That's right.
And Churchill was right. I agree with Churchill. Democracy ain't perfect, but it's the best system we've come up with.
That's right. And that's what people know. That's what I'm saying. People are not accepting democracy now, are they? Whether it's to do with the referendum, whether it's to do with this election, they just don't want to accept democracy at all. Like I say, Nigel Farage was saying that on his show last night as well. We seem to have gone completely the other way. I think that having demonstrations is going to change things. Well, it's got to stop.
I liked the Queen's hat.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she looked lovely, and I was so pleased for her. Look, I'm going to put my cards on the table. Yeah, I'm a Republican, but I have a lot of respect for this Queen as a Queen. Yeah. She's amazing. I mean, she's incredible. Is it? What is she? 90?
Yeah, 60. Yeah, she's 90. She'll be 91 this time.
She's an amazing human being. Quite aside. Never mind what my politics, ideological whatnot is. I got a lot of time for her. I'm worried about her son. I'm worried about his connections with other people, and I'm worried about the family by and large, and the whole concept of monarchy, because I've got a bit of an idea of my history, and monarchs tend to be a little bit too dictatorial for my taste. However, this monarch has been remarkable, and if they were all like her, and we knew that could be guaranteed, I think I would be a monarchist. But
I think possibly that William will be very much like her. I have no time for Charles whatsoever, and I don't think he'll be a good king. I just hope and pray that the Queen outlives him. Actually, it will go straight to William. Yes.
I was curious about that hat. I was pleased that she didn't have to wear that ridiculously heavy crown.
Well, that's what they said. They said the pomp and circumstance, or whatever you call it, has been toned down.
Yeah.
Usually she has robes on, doesn't she? But
yes, all very heavy too.
Yeah, but I think also it was because she was going to the races straight after.
So it actually had more to do with Ascot.
Yes, I think so.
You didn't hear that. I'm going to play this again. I don't know that you'll be able to hear this. Let me see if you can hear this.
Yeah, get your skates on. First race is 2:30.
No.
You didn't hear it?
No.
Okay, that's something I need to do. I need to sort that out. I'm going to change my mixer this week because I know that folks can hear that, but my guests need to be able to hear the bites too, so that we've got, but that was Dennis Skinner and his "Get Your Skates On" quote.
Yes, that's right. You get your skates on quote. That's right. Yeah.
I love Dennis. I love the Beast of Bolsover. He's a geezer. Well, I don't think he's a kind of character we need in the Commons on both sides.
Yes, he is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do need our characters for sure. However, I'm so glad that Alex Salmond is no longer in the Commons. I'm so glad
no, not my kind of character.
Horrible man.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Yeah, very cynical man. But okay. I was wondering about the hat because there have been some conspiracy theories floating around, and I have to admit I do like the odd conspiracy theory. And her hat did somewhat resemble the EU flag, but I don't. I cannot believe that she's a Remainer.
No, not at all. I don't think so. The way Nigel Farage explained it last night was she is very much for us remaining in the Commonwealth, which is 35 countries that she's in. Well, she's not in charge of anymore, but
she's passionate about the Commonwealth.
Yes,
quite
that's
rightly.
Right. She wants people to keep, to be together, doesn't she? So yes. I don't think it was to do with the EU. I think it was just about everybody being, coming together. Yeah,
I think you're right. I wonder if there was some symbolism behind those. She had 5. They kind of look like flowers.
That's right.
On her lovely hat. And I wondered what they symbolized. Those. Why would there be? I don't know. I mean, this is conspiratorial too. But I did wonder if it was England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the City of London.
Oh, I hope they don't separate it like that. For goodness' sake, no.
No, I know. I'm just having a bit of a, yeah, probably nothing. But yeah, so she did get to ask it at the end. One of the things that came out yesterday, no Trump state visit.
Yes, but there is going to be the Spanish royalty coming. She did mention them, didn't she?
That's right, yeah. Felipe and Letizia. Yeah, that's right.
Well, apparently Boris Johnson has said the reason that Trump wasn't mentioned was because they haven't set a date yet. So it can't be mentioned unless a date has been set, which the Queen did mention the date that the Spanish royalty are coming. So obviously that's already in the plans, whereas there isn't a date set yet for when Trump is coming. So that is why he wasn't mentioned, according to Boris anyway.
I have to say, as Boris's statements go, that does make a lot of sense. He had a car crash interview yesterday, didn't he? And he was having some problems, but he did a bit of a Diane Abbott. But and I'm quite surprised at that, because I mean he is a bright guy. He is. Yes, I quite like listening to him actually most of the time. I do. Yeah. I mean, I like.
Yeah, he's an okay guy. Yeah.
I reckon. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would want him as my PM.
No. I don't think that. No.
I'd like to have a drink with him down the pub.
Oh yeah.
I bet it'd be a laugh down the pub. Yeah. Him and Farage maybe. He was down the pub with Michael Fallon the other day. There was a picture in the tabs. I thought that was very curious. Sat on a beach at the end of the beer garden, just the two of them. Him and the defense secretary near Chevening. And, to have been a fly on that park bench, eh?
I know. No. It would have been interesting. Very interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I also, actually, I should caveat what I'm about saying by saying that my predictions are getting really, really poor. And it's so hard to predict politics these days now. Yeah. Although I did suspect that Trump would happen, and I did suspect that Brexit would happen. But apart from that, my predictions over the last couple of years have been a bit airy-fairy, to be honest with you. And so but I kind of think May's position was shored up quite considerably off the back of that Queen's speech. I think that she looks a bit stronger than she did, no?
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, Mr. Corbyn has tried to make out that he's done very, very well, hasn't he? But at the end of the day, we do know, don't we now, that our university students, a lot of them have been bragging on Facebook, how they had two votes. One, their postal vote from their home, and the other one from the university where they could go to the polling booth and vote again. So, in actual fact, and they have voted Labour, they haven't voted any other, so really, he hasn't done as well, really, as what he thinks, has he?
That's incredible. That is a hell of an allegation. They're saying this on Facebook. I haven't seen this.
Facebook. Yeah, they're bragging about it on Facebook. Yeah. Bragging about it.
And are they being arrested?
Well, exactly, you'd think so, wouldn't you? What they're saying now, I don't think they're going to do anything about it because it'd be too difficult to trace everything, wouldn't it, I suppose. But now they are saying, aren't they, that they're going to vote. You've got to have ID when you go. And they're also going to clamp down on the postal votes as well. Damn right. Absolutely. Yeah. That is something that I've been saying for years, absolutely. Yeah. That's good to hear. So who said that they're gonna clamp down on, so that you have to go into the voting booth with ID? I've seen it somewhere that they are going to bring in that you'll have to take ID when you go to vote. Only today I've seen it on some news somewhere. I'm not sure. Even though. Sorry. Even though Corbyn did appear to do pretty well
Now, I know you're not going to be able to hear this, but for everybody else's benefit, I want to play a clip of May's riposte to the claim in the Commons post-speech yesterday that she basically had no qualification.
Let me just point out a few facts to the honourable gentleman. I mean, which party was it that got the highest percentage share of the vote? Labour or Conservative? Conservative. Which party was it? Which party was it that got more votes, 800,000 more votes than the other party? Labour or Conservative? Conservative. And which party was it that got 56 more seats than the Labour Party?
Okay, so she was basically saying that she got more votes, more seats, and that is the democratic system that we have at the moment. And in fact, even under a proportional representative system, she still won. She didn't say that. I've just added that bit, but that's another point. It would have been nice had she said that. I mean, no, the truth is that Corbyn, he has his position personally is secure, but Labour lost. They lost the election, and when people like my dear friend Peter say this government has no mandate for Brexit, essentially is what he's saying. That is just absolute tripe. It's just not true at all. I want to play one other clip, just because it's lovely. Well, let's set it up first. Jacob Rees-Mogg. I saw a story earlier about him being tipped more and more by Conservative voters as the guy that they would like as Tory leader. Does that surprise you?
No, I quite like him. I think he speaks very well, and he made the most wonderful speech regarding the EU. And I think he would be a very good leader. The only thing is, I have read somewhere that he does agree with a lot of the laws of the EU, and he would want to keep some of them that we might not appreciate.
Do you know what sort of laws, Beverley?
No, that's the only thing I don't. They just said there was 20,000 different. Because there is so. It is so complicated, isn't it? That's why it's going to take 2 years to get out of, I suppose.
Yes.
But there are certain things that he would want to keep, it says.
And that's why we need the Great Reform Bill.
That's right. Well, she mentioned that, didn't she? The Queen mentioned that yesterday as well. She
did. Yes, she did. I agree with you. I like Jacob Rees-Mogg. I think he's a remarkable guy because he is incredibly bright, extraordinarily well spoken, but he carries it off with no sense whatsoever of patronisation.
Exactly. Well, he's a rare being in that he's not only intellectual, he's got common sense as well.
Yes.
Because you do find a lot of the intellectuals do not have any common sense at all.
You're so right.
So he is rare. That's why I quite like listening to him. I think he's very good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I know you can't hear this, but for everyone else's benefit, I want to play this because he pulled off a blinder in the Commons again yesterday. Yeah. One of his beautiful one-liners when he basically put Corbyn in his place, and Corbyn deserved it because Corbyn said, he was giving his riposte to May. And he went on and on and on. He was doing a bit of a Kinnock, and he wasn't. Hold on a sec. Where have I? Oh, haven't I got it? I don't know that I've got it actually.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm not sure that. Oh yes. Here we are.
I am deeply sorry that the member
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Further to that point of order. The Right Honourable Gentleman, the Leader of the Opposition, said about 10 minutes ago in conclusion, I fear as time has passed, he may be in danger of inadvertently having misled the House. And I thought you might want to take the opportunity to set this right.
He was just being cheeky, Beverley, basically.
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
using a
okay.
point of order to point out that Corbyn needed a point of order. And it was all very sort of parliamentary, but it's actually the kind of thing that's beautiful and very, very British. And, you know, again, compare that to what they got in Brussels. It's also stiff. They're all sat on pencils. Anyway, yes. Beverley, you know, we've only got a few minutes left.
That's right. Okay.
What did you think about the juxtaposition, if you like, the difference between what we saw in the manifesto and what we saw yesterday in terms of social care and addressing or maybe not addressing welfare? Because there were a few issues there, and I wondered what your take would be on those that side of things.
Well, regarding social care, we're told now that the NHS was set up for your health. So if somebody needs social care, like if somebody is elderly and they need care in the home, they're now saying that's home care, not health care, and that's how they're getting out of it. But in my opinion, I believe that our elderly have paid the most in, so they should benefit, and they should have the best of care, and there should be no excuses. The reason the NHS is in such a mess is because it has been abused, and I'm quite sure that Nye Bevan would be turning in his grave if he knew what he'd set up had become what it now is.
You're talking about, for example, people being able to get breast enhancement surgery, sex changes, when probably they need counselling.
It wasn't set up for that.
Or else such a niche part of society that it's, where do you draw the line?
But at the end of the day, there are so many people as well that are abusing it that have never paid into it. That shouldn't happen either. Including
people that aren't even British, that don't even live in the UK.
That's right. Yeah, people come in.
Health tourism.
That's right. International service, it is not. And that is something else that needs addressing. And of course, this PFI situation. That is costing the NHS
patient,
so much money.
What's that initiative? Sorry, the PFI?
Patient Framework Initiative.
Right.
It was to do with hospitals being built on land, and they've charged so much interest for it that the NHS is paying I don't know how much money. And it's going to take us years and years and years.
You're joking.
To pay that off.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a bit like the Federal Reserve, where you've got a private bank which is lending money that they literally are just printing paper or even just pressing a button on a computer which, you know, creates whatever, however many trillions, and then they lend that to the US government. A private bank creates something out of nothing and lends it to the US government, and then the US government is charged interest on it. The American taxpayers are. It's absolutely disgraceful. Disgraceful. And Americans don't even know it. The Federal Reserve is about as federal as Federal Express. Yeah, it's a private company. You can see it in the yellow pages.
I know. Yes, so that's
and so you're saying that's the same deal with the NHS, with land.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, you know, all this money that we pay out to the EU and foreign aid, all that should be sorted and things should be paid off. We should look after our own country first. All our debt should be paid before we start paying out to anybody else.
Beverley Taylor-king, God bless you. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're very
are
welcome.
Very, very lovely. I'm really, really grateful for what you do.
Thank you.
And it's great to hear the opinions of regular folks.
That's right.
That's what this show is about. In my opinion, you are more qualified, way, way, way more qualified to talk about these kind of social issues, for example, particularly, than is that Jeremy people keep mispronouncing his name, don't they?
Yeah.
The Jeremy Hunt. And,
Yes.
I'll tell you what. It's I am a little bit. It's all a bit chaotic. I do admit there's a bit of chaos. I do admit I'm going through my folders, looking for the intro theme, so that I can play that. Beverley, God bless you.
Yes. God bless you too, Olly. Okay. Bye for now.
Alrighty. Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.
Okay. Bye.
Getting hot, you know. I'm going to have a word with that Peter, yeah. I'm going to put him right. I'm going to knock his block off. Back next Tuesday. Hey, have a lovely weekend, folks. Yeah, whoa, happy Brexit. We're going to get there. We're going to get there.